On the day of her wedding, Amelia found herself locked in a bathroom by her own brother. Soaking wet and disheveled, she burst out just in time to see the scholarship student she had once helped Camilla standing beside her fiancé Ryan, hand in hand, smiling as they toasted with guests. The girl had volunteered to marry Ryan in her place when he was left alone at the altar, and her brother had immediately accepted her as a sworn sister and approved the marriage with the Ryan family. Amelia's heart shattered further when Ryan addressed her calmly later, saying, "You healed my legs, Amelia. I love you, and I respect you. But Camila and I are now legally married. From now on, she will be my wife and you, my girlfriend. Nothing has to change between us." The audacity of it made her hand fly. She slapped him hard across the face. What Ryan didn't know was that his disability was never fully healed. Without the customized orthopedic brace she had built for him in just 7 days, he'd be paralyzed again. And as for her dear brother, had never seen their parents' will. So, where exactly did he get the idea that they left the company to him? As she stood drenched, watching Ryan raise his glass with Camila in front of an applauding crowd, her presence unnoticed by most, she caught his glance. He froze for a second, then shot her a sharp warning look. "Don't you dare ruin this." Camila followed his gaze, feigned surprise, and approached with a syrupy voice. "Sister, I'm so glad you made it. Today's a day of double joy. Come toast with us." Then Lucas stepped forward as if to help her, only to receive a second slap. He clutched his reddened cheek in disbelief. "Sister, you hit me?" She smiled mockingly without a word, raised her hand again, but Ryan grabbed her wrist midair. His expression was hard as stone. "Amelia, that's enough. You ditched our wedding, humiliated me, and now you're hitting your own brother?" She wanted to scream the truth at him. She had been his childhood sweetheart, the only one who never left him after the accident, who pulled him out of despair. But just as she was about to speak, Camila suddenly dropped to her knees in a dramatic thud. "Sister, blame me if you must," she sobbed. "I couldn't stand to see Ryan left alone, judged by everyone. I only did it out of gratitude. I wanted to protect the alliance between our families. And now that you're back, I won't even ask why you ran away from your own wedding." Her sweet, pitiful words were daggers, flipping the story and painting Amelia as a runaway bride in seconds. Lucas, jaw clenched, suddenly grabbed Amelia and dragged her off stage, leaning close to her ear and hissing, "If this alliance breaks, it'll be your fault. You'll carry that sin forever." His twisted face, full of resentment, left only one feeling in Amelia's chest: cold, aching sorrow. She remembered when their parents died in a car crash. Lucas was just 10. She had stepped forward without hesitation, shielding him from greedy shareholders and scheming relatives. He used to look at her with wide, admiring eyes. Now there was only hatred. "Why can't you think of me for once?" he snapped. "Camila's a better match for Ryan than you. Why can't you just give him up?" She shook him off and looked Ryan in the eye. "Do you really choose Camila?" Ryan stared at her for a long moment, then turned toward Camila, uncertainty flickering in his eyes, and that flicker destroyed Amelia completely. After the accident, everyone had abandoned Ryan. Everyone but her. She was the one who had given up everything to pull him out of that dark place, the one who had officially handed their company to Lucas so she could fund the best medical team in the country, spending day and night in the hospital lab, barely sleeping or eating, working on a breakthrough. A year later, with a new orthopedic material and the help of top surgeons, Ryan could walk again. But less than a month after standing on his own 2 feet, he already wavered between her and another woman. Amelia let out a bitter laugh. She didn't need a man who didn't know loyalty. Just then, Camila clung to her arm, fake tears streaming down her face. "Don't worry, sister," she cooed. "Even though Ryan and I are married, I'll give him back to you." Then she pulled a marriage certificate from her coat, tore it into pieces, and tossed them into the air like confetti. Ryan immediately pulled her into his arms, voice firm and commanding. "Camila, we're married. That makes you my wife, and no one's changing that." His eyes, red with emotion, turned to Amelia. "Do you really want to drive her to the brink of death?" Amelia didn't even get the chance to respond before a wine glass crashed at her feet, shattering. A shard sliced across the top of her foot, drawing blood, but Ryan didn't even glance down. His voice turned colder. All those years I was bedridden, you were always busy locked in that lab, gone day and night. It was Camila who stayed by my side. She cleaned me, cared for me, never looked away even when I was filthy. Where were you then? Now fate's decided's my wife, and always will be. Her soaked dress clung to her skin, the cold seeping into her bones. He had forgotten she'd sealed herself in that lab for him. Lucas shoved her aside, face taut. Enough, sister. Stop embarrassing yourself. There's only one way to make up for this. Hand over your hospital and medical team to Camila as her dowry. Ryan might forgive you for breaking the engagement, and Camila, as our adopted sister, will take the place she deserves. Amelia stared at him, eyes steely. Our parents had only one daughter. Since when do I have a sister? With that, she turned and walked away, without another word. That same night, she posted an announcement on her social media. Her relationship with Ryan was over. What she didn't expect was to find Ryan slumped at her doorstep the next day exhausted, Camila beside him with her usual pitiful expression, and a bouquet of red roses in his hand. When Amelia opened the door, Ryan's bloodshot eyes lit up like he had been waiting there all night. Come on, he said with a smug smirk. Stop throwing a tantrum. Whatever had you upset must have cooled off by now. Amelia, I know you love me. We're not breaking up. Her gaze dropped to the red, smeared kiss marks scattered across Camila's neck. She let out a cold, broken laugh. You slept with her, and now you want me to stay? You want me to be your mistress? Mistress? Ryan frowned, genuinely annoyed. Don't say such ugly things. Camila is my wife. You're my girlfriend. Same as before. Isn't that good enough? She stared at him like he'd lost his mind. For a moment, she truly wondered if the car accident had damaged not only his legs but also his brain. How else could he say something so outrageous with a straight face? But her stunned silence only fed his delusion, thought she loved him so much that she'd agree to it. Camila, lips pressed together in rage, managed a sweet, fake smile and reached out to touch Amelia's arm. Amelia instinctively lifted her hand to block her, not even touching her with force, but Camila threw herself backward theatrically, grabbing her stomach and screaming, Ryan, save our baby. Camila had a miscarriage. When Ryan heard the news, his rage exploded. He dragged Amelia to the hospital bed, forced her to kneel by pressing down on her back with his foot, and growled, You're going to pay for what you've done. His face twisted with hatred. Then came the kick, brutal and sudden. Amelia screamed, collapsing to the floor, her elbows splitting open and bleeding, but he didn't stop. Without emotion, he signaled to the bodyguards like a demon summoning minions. Don't be scared, Amelia. It'll all be over soon. Panic flooded her body. She tried to run, but one of the guards caught her effortlessly. Trembling, she looked up at Ryan, voice cracking. What are you going to do to me? But he didn't answer. Instead, he kicked her hard in the abdomen. The pain was instant and excruciating, a wave of torment ripping through her organs like they'd been shattered from within. She curled up on the floor, clutching her belly, her face pale as death. She had given everything, her time, her energy, her futurito heal Ryan's legs. And this was how he repaid her? In that moment, she felt worthless. But Ryan wasn't finished. He grabbed her face, forcing her to look up. Of all the terrible things you could have done, how dare you hurt my child? Do you know how hard it's been for me to have a baby? The agony made it impossible to speak. She could only glare at him, hatred pouring from her eyes. Of course she knew. Every man in Ryan's family struggled with infertility. His mother had chosen Amelia as a daughter-in-law not just because she was her best friend's child, but because Amelia had inherited her mother's rare fertility. The Ryan family never arranged marriages. In their tradition, only a woman who bore a child had the right to marry into the family. Amelia had been the exception. But now, Ryan's face was stone, his eyes devoid of mercy. He slapped her again and again until her vision blurred, her body collapsing like a broken doll. Just as she struggled to breathe, the door burst open and Lucas stormed in, panting. Without hesitation, he kicked her square in the chest. "Are you insane, Amelia? You made Camila lose her first baby." His panic and fury made it look like he was the one who'd lost a child. Amelia spat blood on the floor. But the deepest pain wasn't physical, it was in her soul. Lucas had forgotten everything. The year their parents died, greedy relatives had surrounded them, trying to claim the inheritance. One had almost beaten Lucas to death, and it was Amelia who shielded him, taking the blow herself. He had cried back then, calling her sister, swearing to protect her someday. And now, he used that same word to manipulate her into handing over her hospital as Camila's dowry. Gathering her last strength, Amelia slapped Lucas with all she had. He staggered back, stunned. While everyone was distracted, she bolted. The bodyguards chased her, but this was her hospital. She knew every exit. She collapsed onto a hospital bed, her chest screaming in pain once the adrenaline faded. The doctor told her she had 3 broken ribs. She bit down on her lip, tasting the metallic tang of blood. Every breath pulled at the fracture, making her sink her teeth in harder. The pain sharpened her hatred, gave it clarity. They would all pay. Just then her phone rang. "Boss, the new stunt design is ready. Should we proceed with installation for Mr. Ryan?" Ryan had believed that now that he could walk, Amelia had no more use. That's why he dared suggest she become his mistress. What he didn't know was that his recovery wasn't complete. He was still missing one last piece, the final support stent. And only Amelia in the entire world could perform that surgery. All she needed was 7 days, and he'd never stand again. While Amelia healed, Ryan and Lucas bombarded her with calls. She ignored them all. Then came the texts, manipulative demands for her to show up, apologize to Camila, and hand over her hospital as a wedding gift. Ryan: "Amelia, if you don't show up soon, we're done." Lucas: "If you don't answer, don't blame me for not calling you my sister anymore." She blocked them both. Except Camila. Camila texted too, but her tone was different, smug, mocking. One day, it was a photo of Ryan taking her to meet his parents. The next, a video of the two of them in bed. Then a selfie in front of Amelia's company. "Sister," she wrote, "Lucas says we're family, so he insisted on giving me a position at your company. Guess what? I'm the new Deputy Director General. He said that used to be your title, but I deserve it more. Oh, and look, a gift from Lucas." Attached, photo of luxury jewelry. Every single message was evidence. Amelia still couldn't understand why Lucas would choose Camila over his own blood. But when she closed her eyes, one memory returned: Lucas's crazed expression when he found out Camila had lost the baby. An audacious and terrifying idea had taken root in Amelia's mind when the sharp knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. She turned, startled, and found herself staring at someone she never would have expected. "You? What are you doing here?" 7 days later, at the Ryan family dinner, she entered slowly, invitation in hand, fully recovered. But luck wasn't on her side. The moment she stepped through the door, she ran straight into Ryan. He looked sharp in a tailored suit, his arm draped casually around Camila's waist, greeting the elders with his usual charm. But when his eyes landed on her, his smile vanished. He rushed to her side, grabbed her arm with possessive urgency. "Amelia, I knew you couldn't just leave me like that," he whispered with a smug grin, reaching for her hand. "Don't worry. I keep my promises. If you give Camila the hospital, you can still be my girlfriend. I'll treat both of you equally. I swear." But before he could touch her, a sudden force shoved him backward. A lazy voice sounded behind her. "Is that how you grope your aunt-in-law? Didn't my brother teach you any manners, nephew?" It was only a light push, but Ryan flew backward like a ragdoll, crashing straight into the champagne tower. The sound of glass shattering echoed through the room, and every head turned toward them. Soaked, humiliated, Ryan looked like a drenched mutt. He opened his mouth to yell, but when he saw who had pushed him, the words died in his throat. "Uncle, what are you doing here?" He tried to stand, but his legs didn't respond. Panic flooded his face, a familiar terror. "My legs, why can't I feel my legs?" In an instant, he was dragged back into the nightmare he thought he'd escaped darkness, helplessness. Crawling toward Amelia, he reached for her hand. "Amelia, help me." But she calmly stepped back, her eyes cold. "Your wife is Camila. What are you coming to me for?" Ryan froze, stunned by the icy contempt in her gaze. Panic turned to desperation as he stammered, "You said you loved me. That you'd never abandon me." Before he could continue, a tall figure stepped between them.
Eric.
Calm, poised, and entirely unbothered. "Nephew," he said, "I told you will reddish your aunt-in-law. Don't touch her." Ryan paled. Camila suddenly dropped to her knees with a dramatic plop. "Sister, I know you're mad because I ended up with Ryan, but no matter how angry you are, you shouldn't marry just anyone. And someone older than Ryan." She stopped short, glancing up at Eric's striking, elegant face and realizing she couldn't insult him.
"So, she changed tactics."
"Even if you and Ryan weren't meant to be, you're still a doctor. How can you just abandon him like this? You were the one who treated his legs." Her voice dripped with false compassion, but Amelia didn't flinch. Instead, she reached out and clasped Eric's hand. His palm was rough, warm, and steady. 7 days ago, Eric had barged into her room without knocking. "Miss Amelia," he said bluntly, "I know you're the one truly running your company. You agreed to marry Ryan not just for love, but for a strategic alliance. But now Ryan and Lucas have betrayed you. You need an ally." She had glared at him from the bed, bitter and guarded. If her lifelong fiancé and own brother could stab her in the back, why should she trust anyone? Maybe he saw it in her eyes, because he pulled out a contract and laid it in front of her. "Take a look. You might change your mind." It was a share transfer agreement. If she gave him a child, all his shares would go to her. Eric was an only child, born to a mother late in life. He was only 7 years older than Amelia, but always pampered by the family. Rumors swirled that he preferred men. "Don't worry," he had smiled. "I'm straight. I just hadn't met the right woman until now." "And what makes you think that's me?" she asked coldly. "There's only one way to find out. Try." When their eyes locked, her heart skipped a beat.
So she took his hand.
And now, as Ryan stared at their interlocked fingers, his gaze burned like wildfire. But he didn't dare lash out, not with Eric present. Eric had a reputation for reckless power. "Amelia, is this what you wanted? For me to apologize?" Ryan's voice cracked. "I'm sorry, okay? I shouldn't have tested your love. Camila meant nothing.
She was a mistake."
You're the one I truly love. You wouldn't actually marry another man, especially my uncle. You're doing this to punish me, right?" Tears streamed down his face as he dropped to his knees, but Amelia didn't even spare him a glance. From now on, he would live broken forever, incomplete. That night, after Eric dropped her off, she declined his offer to stay for tea. She didn't expect to be greeted by a flying vase the moment she stepped inside. It missed her face by inches, shattering against the door. Lucas's enraged voice rang out. "Amelia, do you really want to destroy Ryan and Camila? What did you do? What drug did you use? Why can't Ryan walk again?" He stormed toward her, veins popping. "Go back right now and fix him. Or I swear, I'll stop calling you my sister." Barely 30 minutes had passed, and he already knew Ryan was paralyzed. Who else could have told him so quickly, if not Camila? The same woman he had kicked her over just days ago. Her voice turned ice cold. "You're not wrong. I'm the one who no longer needs a disgrace like you as a brother." And with that, she kicked him out.
Literally.
Her foot landed square in his gut, sending him stumbling out the door. "You don't deserve to be my brother. We're done. This house is in my name. Get out." Lucas was out of her home. Next, she would take back her company. She remembered the arrogant words he had yelled outside her door the night before. "You're just a woman.
You still need me."
Don't get cocky." I banned your marriage to Ryan for your own good. Lucas's voice rang in Amelia's ears like a sour aftertaste that refused to fade. Don't be so ungrateful. If you had married Ryan, your assets, your shares, your hospital, they would have become his anyway. Camila promised me, if you gave her the hospital, it would count as premarital property. It'd all be ours. He looked at her with a sigh, as if he were the disappointed one, then turned and walked out like some noble martyr. But Amelia's face burned with fury. The next morning, her secretary called her in a panic. Lucas had shown up at the company, fired her, and handed the South City project over to Camila. That project was worth over $1 billion, a joint investment between her firm and Ryan's family. It was supposed to elevate both families to new heights. Amelia had led it from day one. Even when Lucas started calling Camila his sister, he never dared touch that project until now. Clearly, getting kicked out last night had pushed him over the edge. He was determined to make Camila rise, even if Ryan was now a crippled waste of space.
So be it.
Since things had come this far, Amelia decided she didn't need to rush anymore. It was time the world remembered who the real owner of the company was. After hanging up, she called her private investigator. It was time to uncover the real relationship between Lucas and Camila. And as for the lost baby, Amelia was already a step ahead. She'd asked the doctor to preserve the fetus and run a paternity test. Just as she suspected, it wasn't Ryan's child. It was Lucas's. Her dear little brother. She gathered the evidence carefully. Not long after, Eric invited her out to dinner. Over steak and wine, he gave her a detailed rundown of Camila's recent humiliations. Apparently, Camila had been parading around pretending to be the lady of the Ryan Group, trying to secure investments and form partnerships. At first, people entertained her, but once they realized she was an imposter, doors slammed in her face. A few business leaders close to Amelia even kicked her out on the spot. Furious and humiliated, Camila had returned sobbing into Lucas's arms. He tried to call Amelia for a confrontation, but she had already blocked him. After the delightful dinner with Eric, as they exited the restaurant, Amelia unexpectedly ran into Ryan's mother. She froze. She hadn't expected the woman to come looking for her, not after the wedding banquet fiasco, when not a single adult had spoken up in her defense. Amelia gave Eric a reassuring glance and followed the older woman to a nearby cafe. She ordered Amelia an iced Americano and smiled sweetly. You look just like your mother, so simple, and you've always liked cold coffee. She reached out to stroke Amelia's forehead, but Amelia stepped back, avoiding the touch. Her hand lingered awkwardly in the air. The woman laughed softly. You've grown distant. What Ryan did, neither his uncle nor I knew.
But we talked to him.
He regrets it now. Her voice grew soft, motherly. You two grew up together. I know how much you love him. Don't let that evil woman, Camila, destroy what you had. Amelia wanted to laugh out loud, but kept her face calm. She responded coolly, then tell me, Annie, what do you think I should do? The woman's eyes lit up. She actually believed Amelia hadn't moved on, that she still loved Ryan. Your aunt knows you only said you'd marry Eric to provoke Ryan. He's devastated now, drunk every night, calling you nonstop. Don't worry. If you come back, I'll make him divorce Camila immediately. You two can start over. Amelia pretended to hesitate. But I've already married Eric legally, she said. Ryan's mother blinked in shock, then smiled it off. That's nothing. You'd be a second marriage, and so would Ryan. He wouldn't mind. Amelia stood up, voice like steel. Well, I mind. He's nothing but a rotten cucumber. The woman's eyes widened in horror. Amelia pressed on ruthlessly. And he's a cripple with fertility problems. What makes you think I'd want him? At a corner table, a familiar figure went stiff. Ryan's mother shot to her feet, furious. How dare you speak to an elder like that? Amelia scoffed. Elder? Don't flatter yourself. Don't forget I am your sister-in-law now. At that moment, Ryan rolled into view in his wheelchair, blocking his mother. Amelia, but she didn't let him speak. She turned and walked away without a glance. The entire encounter had been staged. Madame Gu had always known Amelia had a fertile body. She'd been desperate to bind Amelia to the family as her daughter-in-law. When Ryan first lost the ability to walk, she had wept and begged Amelia to stay and care for him. And back then Amelia had agreed, because she genuinely couldn't leave him. But now, looking back, she saw how foolish she'd been. Outside the cafe, Eric was waiting for her, standing tall with a quiet smile, his eyes reflecting only her. Your dear sister-in-law is quite the schemer. She's trying to dump Ryan's broken remains on you one last time. Eric frowned, clearly annoyed. After the banquet, when Ryan realized his legs weren't working again and you had blocked all contact, he's been spiraling. Desperate. Out of control. His mother had no choice but to tempt you one last time. A slight smile tugged at Amelia's lips. Too bad I'm not so naive anymore. A shame, really. No one would ever love Ryan the way she once did. That night, when Eric dropped her off, she didn't reject his offer to come in for a glass of water. After all, the contract was already in effect. Now they were family. The next morning, she rubbed her sore waist, but her mind was sharper than ever. Pulling the curtains aside, she spotted a familiar car parked outside. Ryan had spent the entire night outside her home. She yanked the curtains shut. Eric didn't seem to notice. Propped on one arm, he looked at her with affection. Need help dealing with Ryan? He asked. She dressed without hesitation. Of course. Eric raised an eyebrow, mildly surprised. I thought you'd say you didn't need help. That you could do it alone. She rolled her eyes. Me? Charity? Please. I married you because I had something to gain. And now that you're offering help, why would I turn down a free favor? His company was still controlled by the family patriarch. Eric held important positions, yes, but without marriage and a child, he never gained full power. But interfering with his older brother's affairs? That he could do. While the Ryan family was in civil war, Amelia's own company was also unraveling. Camila hadn't just failed to secure investments to embarrass herself in front of top clients. One even had a glass of wine thrown on him by her in a fit of frustration, severing the last thread holding the company together. The company was in shambles. The funding chain had collapsed, suppliers were pulling out, and only then did Lucas suddenly remember Amelia existed. He called her from a new number, voice uncharacteristically soft, almost pitiful. Sister, I'm sorry. I know I messed up. The company, it doesn't just belong to me. It's also the fruit of Mom and Dad's hard work. Even if you hate me, you shouldn't punish the company. I've already fired Camila. Please come back. If we work together, we can save it. Amelia nodded and appeared at the company's General Assembly. The moment she walked through the doors, the shareholders' eyes lit up with hope. Lucas rushed toward her, trying to grab her hand. I knew you wouldn't abandon us. After all, I'm still your brother. But she walked past him, dodging his touch as if it repulsed her. She stood at the head of the boardroom table, swept her gaze across the room, and let out a sarcastic smile. As everyone here knows, this company was built from the ground up by my parents. Even though they passed away in an accident, all shares were left in my name before she could finish. Lucas cut in loudly. What my sister says isn't wrong. We're family. What's hers is mine. I brought her back today to help save the company. Amelia didn't even glance at him. She slammed her hand down on the table. I moved to have Lucas removed as general manager. Lucas's eyes widened, unable to believe what he was hearing. Amelia lifted her chin slightly as her assistant began handing out documents to the shareholders. I used to believe we were family, she said coolly, so I never said anything. But the truth is, Lucas owns not a single share in this company. A ripple of shocked whispers spread through the room as everyone flipped through their copies. Lucas shouted, grabbing a paper and reading it with trembling hands. Amelia continued, her voice calm but cutting. Yes, our parents died in an accident. But long before that, they left a will. All shares were left to me. As for Lucas, everyone here has seen what he's done. One poor decision after another, dragging this company to the edge of collapse. Removing him as general manager isn't just necessary, it's justice. Lucas's eyes darted across the pages, facing the cold truth. The will, the company's lost statements, it was all there. But he refused to accept it. He screamed, tore up the document in his hands, and started snatching papers from the other shareholders. This is fake. It has to be. You forged this. Amelia's voice was steady. If you don't believe me, bring a lawyer. Let's go to court. I have nothing to hide. All the bravado drained from Lucas. He collapsed onto the floor, defeated. Maybe deep down, he had always known this day would come the moment he chose to betray her. But this was only the beginning. Losing his title was just the first step. Compared to what he had done to her, he was still far from paying his debt. On the day of her wedding to Eric, Amelia saw Ryan again. He rolled into the hall in his wheelchair, pushed by Camila. Camila shot daggers at Amelia with her eyes, as if she'd kill her if she could. Amelia never understood why Camila hated her so much. When Camila had nothing, when she was desperate, it was Amelia who saved her, who took her away from an abusive father and a gambling-addicted mother, who paid for her education. But some people were born ungrateful. Ryan looked at her with eyes full of regret, but she didn't even acknowledge him. When the vows were being exchanged, it looked like Ryan might try to ruin the ceremony, but Camila slammed him down into his chair. You're married to me, she hissed. I'm the only one you should see. Amelia is your aunt now. Accept it. But Ryan clearly wasn't ready to let go. Later that night, when almost all the guests had left and Amelia was changing out of her dress, he managed to sneak into her dressing room. Amelia, he said quietly, I regret everything. He looked at her with desperate hope, waiting for forgiveness just like all the times before. But he was no longer the man she once loved. And she was no longer the girl who once would have melted at those words. Her silence gave him false hope. His eyes lit up as he began pouring out his heart. Amelia, it was just a mistake. Why can't you give me another chance? You loved me more than anyone. You were the only one who stayed when I was paralyzed. I'll divorce Camila. She tricked me.
She used me.
Ever since I ended up in this chair again, she hasn't even visited once. And we're married. She's always out with God knows who. She's not the same. She used to help me, take care of me. She's venomous. If it weren't for her, you'd be my wife right now. His words came out in gasps, teeth clenched, his rage turning on Camila. But Amelia only chuckled bitterly. Do you know why she cared for you back then? Because I paid her. She stared him down. She told me she wanted to repay my kindness, that she'd take care of you, so I could focus on developing your treatment. I believed her. I thought it was gratitude. But do you know what my private investigator found? She handed him a dossier. The truth behind your accident. Ryan turned pale. The crash hadn't been a tragic fluke. He and Camila had already been sneaking around. That day, Camila had wanted a gemstone prize from an illegal race, and Ryan without hesitation jumped behind the wheel. And that was the moment his life changed forever. Tell me, Ryan, Amelia asked, isn't this karma for betraying me? His eyes welled with tears as he clutched her hand. Amelia, please. I was wrong.
I'm sorry.
I know you still have a way to cure me. Right? There it was the real reason for his remorse. She nodded.
Yes.
I developed the final support device a long time ago. I was just waiting for the right moment to install it. But you married Camila before that. Ryan's face lit up with trembling hope. Then there's still a chance. Amelia, I swear I'll treat you right this time. But she gently pulled her hand away, voice like ice. You're my nephew now. I don't need your loyalty. He stared at her, stunned. She continued calmly, as for that device, you won't be needing it anymore. It's been over a month. You missed your last chance to walk again. For the rest of your life, get used to that wheelchair. Then she dropped something else on the Tablia DNA test. Oh, and I think you'll be interested in this. Without another word, she walked away. Soon, Ryan would find out the child he so adored wasn't his. It was Lucas's. After that, Amelia never thought about either of them again. Let them tear each other apart. A few months later, she walked out of the hospital, gently cradling her now slightly rounded belly. Eric was by her side, wrapping his arm protectively around her. "You're going to be a mom," he murmured, tenderness in every word. "Now more than ever, you have to take care of yourself." Amelia smiled quietly, peace finally returning to her life. /strong /heart. Surprised face.
Ash. Tin nhắn đã được thu hồi.
He was the one who acted like a nervous kid ever since he found out she was pregnant. Eric had been behaving like an awkward teenager, unsure of how to show the depth of his excitement. In the car, he hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Ryan is dead." Amelia froze, but not from shock, just silence. She didn't feel a thing. Eric explained that after Ryan discovered Camila had been unfaithful, he confronted Lucas in a fit of rage. The confrontation spiraled out of control, and in the heat of it, Lucas killed him. Now Lucas was in prison. And Camila? She walked away untouched. Eric let out a bitter laugh. "Don't worry," he said calmly. "I won't let anyone hurt you, or our baby." Then, as if it were the most casual thing in the world, he added, "I sent the news to her abusive father and her gambling-addicted mother that Camila had married a millionaire. And now that she can't give them money anymore, their ending won't be pretty." Amelia smiled softly, nodding in quiet agreement. That's what happens when you choose the right partner in life, someone who handles everything so you don't have to.